So this is just a quick tip that I thought might be useful for anyone that is caring for someone with significant complex medical conditions, whether that be a child or an adult, or is moving into this space on staying organized and remembering everything you need to go over when you are at your primary care physician's office for your annual checkup, or sometimes it's biannual for that. So, for those that may not know, our primary care physician is our nucleus, and I talk about that in other videos. In such an important player, actually, the most important player in the center core of our medical care team. But when individuals become so complex, they start seeing specialists for everything. So, my son has very complex medical conditions. He sees 25 different specialists. And so, during the year, we really only see that primary care physician, one for that annual checkup, two if he is sick, and three if he is hospitalized. And I actually call the physician on the phone just to get his food for thought. Because obviously, when someone's inpatient, your primary care physician cannot help you with anything at that point except for give you some guidance over the phone. So we just had our huge annual checkup. And so what I do is I collect information all year long. So in my calendar, I actually like bullet point on the day that the appointment's going to be all year long of things I don't want to forget to talk about. Obviously, if something is urgent, I bring it to his attention, or if there's a concern with one of the specialists well before, this period of time. But I try to leave things that just need just more further discussion because we're talking about long-term illness. And so things that we need to talk about more in depth that I want to talk about at appointment. So I keep those all listed. Also, my son is no longer in school, but if you have a child that is in school, maybe it would be letters for the school or actions that need to be taken that you need support from your doctor, those types of things that can be added to that list as well. So I just wanted to show you how I do it. So I listed off in my calendar, kind of bullet pointed on the day that we're going to be going. So if we make the appointment a year ahead of time, or I just put it in the back of my calendar note section, I'm very much a paper and, paper, pen, paper, pencil type of person, actually pencil a little more so you can erase. And then in my notes app on my iPhone, or if you have an Android phone, I'm certain that they have something that's the same. Or if you really like the Google Sheets and whatnot, I know there's a lot of other things on the computer that you can make yourself a nice running list all year long. Then what I do is I kind of fine tune it and I make my bullet points. Now, know the sheet I'm going to show you, I've removed all of the conversation points. I just have the headers for each one that we needed to go over at the appointment. But I just wanted to show you how it lists out. So I have the date because then I also can reference back every single year what we discussed and if there's anything that didn't get wrapped up and what I said, and then I make notes and all that. So I keep the paper copy, but I also keep the copy in my phone as well. So definitely always remembering your new family history, if they don't already, if they haven't been updated on it. For my son, his new diagnoses. So though your primary care physician should be getting that through whatever electronic medical system, I want to make sure that the doctor is up to date on everything going on with those specialists. And if there is any new diagnosis that maybe haven't gotten the computer yet, or maybe he hasn't gotten a moment to read yet. The next thing that's really important is a conditions list. Now, sometimes they call it like a health problems list. I don't necessarily love those names, but under a conditions list is going to be obviously every medical condition that your loved one, or if you're watching this for yourself, has under there. But sometimes they do get missed, especially when you have all these specialists and things not getting sent in. And for many state services, you will need to have a conditions list every year annually when they come, to check on you and report if you are receiving any state services. So having an updated medical conditions list to make sure that is accurate is super important. And this is a great time to talk about it with the doctor, or if you think something should be added, great time to have that discussion as well. Then we had an ER visit. So even in the ER, everything got handled that needed to get handled, but there were some labs that I was like, well, that's weird because I track my son's labs. And so I wanted to have a further discussion about them. I knew they were nothing 911 that need to be talked about right away, but I have that in here. And then the other doctors, it looks like I just spilled something on here, that we see. And then, like, you can see these bullet points. And then I also went under each department and I listed what is the date that our next follow up is. So, for example, my son has a very large thyroid nodule and he is having his ultrasound and his revisit, and it's in like another week and a half from now. So, I wanted to make sure it's on the radar for the primary care physician. So, kind of listing all those upcoming appointments so that he knows you've checked those off the list and you both are on the same page. Because our primary care physicians, like I said, they are the nucleus of everything and they really can help in so many ways, but that's a whole different, so many ways than sometimes they're utilized for. That I'll make a different video on. But I just wanted to show you guys that this is just an easy way so that you don't forget everything. So our appointment was still about an hour and a half, 2 hours, but we went through everything in detail. I wanted to make sure that also he didn't have any other thoughts in those areas. So when we go to those specialists, I have other questions, things to ask. Yeah, and more. So I hope that that is a helpful little tip for you, and whether it be your family, for yourself, or for your loved one. And thanks for tuning in.